We are back once again talking about the boys from the Unsubscribed podcast. That's Eli Double Tap, the Fat Electrician, Brandon Herrera, and Donut Operator. This video is kind of a continuation of the last video I posted on this, which I'm going to put a card in the corner now that you can click on if you want to go watch that, but I'll do a quick recap anyway. Basically, the Unsubscribed podcast had on Tyler Vargas Andrews here. Now, Tyler is an American veteran who has suffered from serious injuries in combat. He lost one arm and one leg, and he was hit by a ton of ball bearings. I'm pretty sure he still has ball bearings in his body when an IED exploded at the Abbey Gate. Now, if you don't remember the Abbey Gate, it happened because President Biden, in his infinite wisdom, decided that he was going to do absolutely no planning before pulling all of our troops out of Afghanistan and turn the entire country back over to the people that we had been fighting for 20 years. It was one of the biggest failures in American military history, and quite frankly, it was a disgrace as it threw away 20 years of sacrifices of American soldiers in Afghanistan. Now, whether or not you agree with nation building is completely irrelevant. What is relevant here is the fact that the Biden administration completely screwed up the withdrawal, and their mismanagement caused what happened to Tyler Andrews to happen. To this day, they still lie about it, and because the Biden administration spent so much time lying about what happened during the Afghanistan withdrawal, including especially the events surrounding what happened to Tyler Andrews here when there was a bombing at the Abbey Gate, killing 200 civilians and 13 United States service members, the Biden administration's denial of a lot of the things that actually happened that day has led to there being a bunch of conspiracy theories and people not believing the veterans who were there that day. Case in point, this response to the tweet announcing the interview with Tyler Andrews. This guy Anonymous here at Saw11B said, "If an IED goes off with 150 ball bearings hitting you, I don't care if you're wearing AR-500 steel, you are now dead. You would bleed out and no hospital on earth could save you. We need to stop platforming proven liars like Shrek McPhee and this guy." Now, this got all of the Unsubscribed boys very upset. As you would have seen in the last video, they all replied to this guy and kind of demolished him. But after I made that video, this guy didn't stop. He just kept going. So we're going to take a look at some of his new responses today and the community's responses to him, proving him wrong. I think it's quite obvious, and a lot of the comments pointed this out last time, that this guy's probably trolling. Quite frankly, that's what I began to think too. But the amount of effort that this guy's putting into these responses, the amount of mental gymnastics this guy's doing, makes me think that he might not be trolling. The first new response I want to look at here is his response to the Fat Electrician, right? So the Fat Electrician put up this tweet here. He's going to explain this to you on multiple levels, not because I think I can change your mind. You're obviously too stupid. I'm going to take the time to explain it because I want everyone else to truly appreciate how stupid you are. In this thread, you're comparing ball bearings from an IED to supersonic bullets. Bullets are channel directed explosions, shooting one piece of metal in one direction very quickly. An IED is an explosion in every direction, meaning the shrapnel is traveling way slower than a bullet in every direction. This is why the kill radius on an IED is measured in the tens of feet and the kill range on a bullet is measured in the hundreds and thousands of yards. Ball bearings doesn't really give you an idea of the size. All it means is metal ball. The average ball bearing size used in an IED is 5 to 9 millimeters. A BB from a BB gun is 4.5 millimeters for perspective. So again, you're most likely comparing subsonic BBs to a hypersonic 62 grain bullet. Ballistically, you're stupid. C, how do you think he lost half of his limbs? You think he just woke up that way and concocted a cool story and the Department of Defense, rather I guess the Department of War now, and every major news outlet just went with it? You think it's highly unlikely someone could survive that? No shit. That's probably why all of his friends died. Logically and socially, you're stupid. So then we go down here and we see he actually responded to that right here. So if we go and take a look at this response, Anonymous said, "You can lose an arm and a leg from way less than 150. It takes only like 10 from an IED that close. 150 and they only hit an arm is BS. If they hit the leg, you bleed out because that's where your femoral artery is." Now, what he's referring to with 150 is if we go here, you'll see Tyler Andrews had 150 ball bearings hit him during the attack. So if we go back to this, he got some responses. First off, you got Matt Greer here saying he's seen guys lose both legs and live because they got tourniquets on in time. But also we got Eli Double Tap tapping back in and saying, "My man," still thinking he is the one that is correct. Also, that username you typed up and said, "Yes, it's Saw11B, like Squad Automatic Weapon 11 Bravo. You 100% have a barbed wire tattoo and wear tap out shirts in your army issued tan boots." So Eli went for the throat with this response, and I think he's probably right, because this kind of guy, the guy responding with the name Anonymous, like he's some kind of expert on what happened at the Abbey Gate, he's definitely got one of those barbed wire tattoos that guys get when they think they're really badass, but in reality their definition of badass is not holding the door for somebody when they walk into the dive bar. And also, it's not just them. Literally every comment here is just completely destroying the guy, and so you got to be proud of the Unsubscribed podcast community. Here we had another response. So this is what the Unsubscribed podcast directly responded to his tweet, saying he's a proven liar. Share this proof you speak of. Here's proof of him being blown up and almost dying. And then it's censored for YouTube purposes, but this here was a picture of Tyler Andrews in the hospital shortly after the attack. And so you had Anonymous respond here, yes, Shrek is a proven liar, Valhalla shared the actual paperwork, and his jump was after the day combat is Desert Storm ended. Valhalla VFT actually has integrity, so when Shrek lied, he proved it. To which the Unsubscribed podcast responds, we need to stop platforming proven liars like Shrek McPhee and this guy, which is a quote from Anonymous here, up here in this tweet. And they continue, show me the proof of this guy being a proven liar. Now, obviously they can't show any proof of Tyler Andrews being a proven liar because he's telling the truth. As the Fat Electrician said, how else do you think he lost half of his limbs? You think he cut them off for a joke? No, he lost them serving our country. And it's despicable that somebody would try to dismiss that. While we're looking at this tweet, I just want to scroll down here and point out this one here. Saw11B obviously works for Tony Gonzalez. He doesn't, but I thought this was a funny tweet. Now, in the same response that we just looked at, right, where he was saying Shrek is a proven liar, whatever, he responded to himself and he posted a link to a video about Shrek McPhee. And he said, you've also platformed Tim Kennedy, so this is just another exaggerated story for clicks. So this comes to the actual source of Anonymous's argument here. He thinks that Tyler Andrews exaggerated his story and the Unsubscribed boys let him in order to get clicks. Now, obviously, that's not true. And Ronnie Adkins from Funker530 responded and said, this has nothing to do with Shrek. This post is about Tyler. Calling Tyler a liar is why you're getting dragged, and deservedly. To which Anonymous responds, it has everything to do with Shrek and Tim Kennedy. Once you establish a pattern of telling these wild stories, nobody can believe anything you say. In 6 months, we'll be hearing about how this was over-exaggerated, and maybe 20 of them hit the arm or leg, not 150, which is the claim. So once again, he reiterated the crux of his argument. He believes that it's all exaggerated, and that in a couple months it's going to come out that Tyler Andrews is lying, and he made it all up, and he exaggerated. The problem is, right, Tyler Andrews is missing his arm and leg. So it's just like, why would you argue about this? Why would you think he's making this up? He didn't just do that to himself, right? His arm and leg didn't just walk off on their own. So this is just a stupid point. And then you had Zachary Bell here saying, trust me, if I were to text Nate and tell him you're using his video to attack Tyler, he'd be embarrassed. And that's referring to the video that Anonymous had posted here. So then if we go up and we take a look at another response from Eli Double Tap, of course, responding to the initial tweet from Anonymous, Eli said, so let me get this straight. All accounts of this day and all the doctor and medical records are all made up. Got it, Saw11B. Also, why didn't he bleed out? OMG, why didn't we think about that or ask him or learn that he had 57 liters of blood transfusion to keep him alive? To which Anonymous responds and says, ball bearings from an IED wouldn't stop and they wouldn't just selectively target any part of the body. Even from a claymore, if you step in front of that, you don't survive. I've been to funerals for way less, so no, I don't believe this overhyped BS. Which makes a lot of assumptions, like for instance, that he was only hit in the arm and the leg and that he wasn't hit anywhere else, when in fact we know that he still has some ball bearings embedded under his skin, so obviously he was hit in other places. But that's besides the point. I won't try to use logic against this guy. He responded to himself again and said, nobody forced you to ruin any credibility you had, and you could have come out saying these stories were BS at any time. You even let TK, I believe that's Tim Kennedy, claim that he cheated his way through Special Forces selection by hiding MREs like they're not being watched the entire time. You're more worried about trying to kiss butt, but people who have actually experienced IED casualties knows 150 projectiles from any IED turns the entire body to a hamburger. They rip through and shred you. You wouldn't survive it. To which Eli responded saying, yes, please tell me about people who have actually experienced IEDs. And you can't argue with this, obviously. And then here we have Zachary Bell also responding to the initial tweet where he talks about how he's seen the scars on Tyler's body. Nobody amputates their limbs for a bit. Use your brain. Don't ever put a real hero like Tyler in the same sentence as crowns like Shrek. I get it. It sucks to realize the wild stories you believed were as fake as Santa. Now, of course, I think he's referring to Biden's explanation for how great the withdrawal went. And then number 5, if you sit with it for even a minute, you'll see that you are not actually mad at Tyler Vargas Andrews. You're mad that you fell for the most obvious con artists on planet Earth, like Painfully Obvious. To which Anonymous said, BS, you saw scans with 150. It takes way less to rip off an arm and a leg. Not denying the injury, just saying it's way over exaggerated or he'd have bled out. To which Zachary Bell responded and said, I have literally felt the bearings and the scars. He slept in my home. You should really just stop. And that's exactly right. This guy needs to stop. And I think you'll understand now why I think this guy might not be as big of a troll as he looks like, because the fact that he's able to lay out like an actually comprehensible argument, though not exactly a correct one, makes me think that he's not a troll, right? I mean, I can understand why he's mad and why he doesn't believe Tyler, because he's saying, oh, well, you guys platformed the other people and ruined your credibility. I mean, that's an argument. It's not a valid argument, but it is an argument. That makes me think that he's probably not trolling as much as we all hope he was. Hopefully people like this guy can wake up. Eventually they'll get better. They'll realize that they're just being mean for no reason and they're attacking an American veteran who literally gave his arm and his leg for his country. Not cool to go after veterans, especially veterans who were injured in combat. Obviously, you know where I stand. I believe Tyler Vargas Andrews' story. In fact, I believe Tyler Andrews' story even more than I believe the Biden administration story, because the Biden administration lied about the whole thing. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Do you believe this guy was actually a troll? Or do you think that because he was able to lay out arguments that maybe he was just a real person. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. Remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and God bless you.